Hey guys, Adam from Splendid Sports. We're back. Another 3 and 3. I'm joined by Theo, Clemente Collector. How's it going, Theo?
Going great, Adam. I appreciate when you reached out to me. It felt like I was getting called up to the big leagues. I really appreciate it.
Well, man, this is cool. This is episode 27 of 3 and 3. And guys, if this is the first one you've ever caught, Theo is going to show us three of his favorite cards in his collection. And then we're going to look at three cards, maybe four on your want list. And this was my idea. But we're going to look at those. But before we get into that, want to talk a little hobby background and YouTube channel background, Theo. I want to, if it's cool with you, I want to kind of go into how you got into becoming Clemente Collector, and it kind of ties into your dad. Do you mind just giving that story on how that started?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so like a lot of people out there, I'm just a regular guy, and we were in the pandemic, and I started hearing all the buzz about the sports cards blowing up, and I remember collecting when I was a kid in the '90s, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. So I started watching break videos on YouTube. Just I was trying to bid on some for. I'm a big Steeler fan too. I was bidding on some Steeler players, things like that. Try to get in team breaks, and then I go to my parents' house. This was about 2 years ago. I go to my parents' house to go get my old cards because the first thing you think when you've been out of the hobby so long is, oh, my cards must be worth something.
Yep.
And growing up in the junk wax era, obviously that's not the case. But I went back to my parents' house. My mom had all my old cards there. And I tell my dad what's going on. I tell him that I'm really getting into baseball cards again. I've been watching, modern break videos, and I think it's really cool. And he brings up that he still kept his childhood cards. And I honestly didn't know that he kept his childhood cards. He's a very much doesn't throw anything away type of person. So so it didn't surprise me that he had something. It just surprised me that I've never seen him. So he goes up in the attic and comes down with three 1962 tops uh, boxes that the wax packs were in, and he opens up the lid, and he literally had rubber bands wrapped around them, and like maybe stacks of 60, and the rubber bands were completely dry rotted through. And so the top cards, like I was like literally with my fingernails, I was picking like the rubber band remnants off of the top cards. So we start going through his cards. I never did any research on vintage cards or anything like that, or saw vintage cards. So I really didn't know if this was a gold mine, if it was just, it is what it's not really worth very much. So we start going through the cards together. We put them in order. He ends up having a complete 1962 top set. The wood grain border. I got the Pirates cards actually right here. So I'll show. These are these are the Pirates cards from that from that box.
Wow, look at
And then
that.
here's the other page here. So we yeah, so we put all the cards in order. I ask him what he wants to do with them, and he says, "Well, I'm not getting any younger." He said, "Why don't you sell them for me?" So I take them home, and I start going on YouTube and looking at videos of similar sets. And he had cards from the 60s, 1960, 1961, and 1962. So I start looking at videos, and I start seeing that they're actually valuable, and you can go on a PSA registry and kind of see kind of values. So I start going through that, and going through that exercise, and I figure out that that they do have value. And the biggest card that he had after looking through all the cards was the 1961 Mickey Mantle card, which I asked you if you could bring it as an example to show anybody. So he had a PS. When I ended up getting it graded through PSA, it ended up being a 6, which is very surprising with
Wow,
it being in a box for
that's a
just.
great grade for that card.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So once I start doing research and stuff, and I make an eBay account and everything like that, I start really enjoying the vintage look of the cards, and I just think they're awesome. And I reach out to him, and I'm like, I'll sell these for you. Can I just keep all the Pirates cards? And he's like, yeah, that sounds fine to me. So I sent a bunch of cards to SGC. I actually have a video on my channel that shows the return from his collection. I sent a bunch of the Hall of Famers to SGC, got them graded. I sent the mantle to PSA, and then I gradually start selling all his cards, other than the Pirates cards. And as I'm doing all this research, I first off, as a Pirates fan, Roberto Clemente was always my favorite player growing up. It's kind of a rite of passage in Pittsburgh, like just to learn about Clemente and what he did for, as a humanitarian, and how great he was as a player. So me having my dad's Pirates cards, like, just was so awesome to me. And then I start watching a lot of just Roberto Clemente YouTube stuff of people that have cards. One of them was Lou Rock. And I start seeing what the run looks like, and I start looking at prices, and I actually figure out that it's actually pretty affordable to actually start buying some of his cards. I mean, within reason, it's affordable. It just depends on how you look at it. So I just start gradually, as I'm selling my dad's cards, I just start gradually buying Clemente cards with my own money, and starting with 70s cards and late 60s, because they're so much more affordable than the 50s cards. So the long and short of it, though, is after I sold all his stuff, I had a big stack of cash, and I took it to his house, and I handed him the cash, and he handed it right back to me and said that the cards would have been mine someday, just to keep all the money myself, which was really crazy and kind of blew me away. So I got home, and I was a little bit bummed out about the whole not keeping some more of the cards outside of the Pirates cards. But after talking with my wife and stuff like that, we ended up and I'll show a card later, I ended up using the money back in the hobby, for my Clemente collection. So at the end of the day, it ended up having a great story with it. But I definitely still think about the 1961 mantle that I sold. It ended up selling for $1,000. So yeah. Yeah, it's still pretty good. So yeah, I have all his Pirates cards, and that's what got me into vintage. And then I started a YouTube channel last August. So it's been about 8 months now I've been on YouTube.
And I love on your channel how you're doing so many cool, like, group videos, lives, and having people on it. We were talking earlier about I think my favorite one you've done. It was actually on John 3D 80s Kid channel. I believe you were the host, and you guys were kind of working together on that one. But that player collector episode, that was so good. I just love how you guys did that, and just everything about it. But yeah, I love your channel, just all the group stuff you do. And for me, that's like the most fun stuff. That's why I started doing these. Just having one person on with me is fun for me, just having a conversation, because there was a time when I never got to do those. So these anytime I can get on with someone else, it's better than a solo video for me. It's just like, they're more fun. So
yeah, so after a couple months of being on, I was kind of feeling like I was on the outs as far as, being on lives with other people, because I was so new. So I kind of took it upon myself to, if I'm not being invited on anything, which is understandable, I'm very new, I'm gonna try to create some type of content where I can meet other collectors and get closer. And it's been great. I've gotten so many collectors' cell phone numbers, and we text now, and I really have some true friends in the hobby. So it's been really cool.
On that note, guys, I just want to throw it out there. If you watch my channel, I've had a lot of people on my channel, which I've been so thankful for, and it's been great. But if you've had any interest in me coming on your channel, I would love to do that. I don't get too many invites these days. So guys, you guys were nice enough to invite me on that collector's episode, which I couldn't make, unfortunately. But anyone else out there who happens to catch this, if you're looking for an extra guest for a panel or a live, I'd always appreciate an invite. I always like getting with other people and talking. So just throwing it out there. That's it.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I'm gonna, since I came on your show, I would really appreciate you come on my Behind the Card show. That would be really cool. So
yeah, man, I'd love to do that. I don't think I would. I'm not going to do too good at the lightning round, but I'm not good under pressure like that. But I'll give it a try. You know.
Okay. That's
All
fine.
right. So you are now your goal basically was, and this is still your goal, is to try to collect every Clemente vintage card, basically, right?
Everything that's in playing days, every playing days card. I'm currently at I just checked today. I'm at 67. I'm at 67 cards. The rub for me is Matt from THA Card Store was one of your guests with Tyrus the one day, and he's working on Hank Aaron right now, and it's kind of cool. Me and him met each other, and they're kind of at the same spot in their journey with Hank Aaron. But Matt's doing the team cards, the Venezuelan team cards, the Opeachy team cards, and I'm still trying to get like like US version cards, and I haven't even went down the team card route yet, because I could stack up some team cards and get my numbers a little bit better. But
We got a couple of those coming up on your want list, a couple Clemente cards. So
yeah.
Let's get rolling with what we're going to do is look at 3 of your favorite cards in your collection. So number 1, I'm ready for whenever you got it.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, number 1, I'm a rule breaker here. Is 3 cards together. These are the 3 Clementes I got from my father.
All right.
So if I had to only pick 3, it would end up only being these 3. So that would be kind of boring for people. So we got, this is the 1960s Clemente. It's just gorgeous. Look at the centering on that.
Wow.
The 1961 Clemente. I always love this card. I just feel like he just looks so regal.
Yeah.
I just love the look of that 61 card. And then the 62 card was actually my least favorite of the 3. And over time, it's really, it might be my favorite now. I just, I all of a sudden really start loving the 62 set. I just think the wood grain is just perfect.
That is a great card. Yeah, you're right. I love that.
So if you had to rank these 3, what would be your ranking, as far as, not grades aside, what would be your ranking as far as what's your favorite out of those 3?
I would have to say, man, those are 3 good ones too. By the way, before I say that, I just want to say, man, yeah. I would absolutely kill. I would give up any card in my collection. I'm being serious, to have one of my dad's cards when he was a kid. I've told the story, but his Mickey Mantles got given away or thrown out when he went in the service in 1965, I think it was. And if I somehow, we'll never get him at this point, but like if there's a way I could have just one of his cards from when he was a kid, I'd give up any card in my collection for that, just to have those. So the fact that you have your dad's vintage cards, man, that is so awesome. That is incredible. But I would have to go probably, I think I do like 62 out of those. I like the 62 the best. And then I'm going to go 60 because I just love that set. I just love the design and everything. And then 61 would be third, even though I love all those. So
yeah, they're all great. And it's a great 3 years of just different Topps product. They're all so different, but they're all great in their own ways. It's like a really cool, I don't know, it's really cool, those 3 years, if you ask me.
Oh yeah.
They actually, so the 61 card, they actually used it for the Wheaties stamps too. I don't know if you know that. So same picture.
Wow. No, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is a great picture, man.
Yeah.
What a good looking guy he was, man. Look at that. Look at that. All right. So that's officially number 1, a group of 3 as number 1.
Yes.
Let's go number 2.
Okay. Number 2 is the card that got me onto YouTube, because I didn't feel like I could go onto YouTube without it. And it's the 1955 Clemente rookie card. So the only reason why I was able to afford this, because I would never have it, is because I sold those cards for my father and he gave me the money back. And luckily my wife was all for me putting the money back in the hobby. So I'm very appreciative of that. And I feel like for a 1.5, it's a really nice copy. I really wanted to get a centered copy. That was one of my number 1 things, and I really wanted a good surface on it. So
beautiful. Yeah, that is a beautiful card. Look at that, man. Does it have like a crease somewhere like that I can't see, or why is it 1.5?
It doesn't have it doesn't have a crease, but it's got a couple wrinkles that it's really hard to tell unless you're in person.
Oh man, that thing is great. Look at that.
But what I would say though is, and not to go away from the Clemente rookie card, is what I would say though is I honestly regret waiting to get on YouTube. I didn't get on YouTube till I had this rookie card, which completed my run. So I had the complete run, and I felt like I was qualified then to actually start my channel. And what I would say to somebody out there that thinks like I did, don't wait to get on YouTube because you don't think your cards are good enough yet. Make the plunge, get on, and start talking to people. It's definitely worth it.
I think that's great advice because yeah, it's not really a that I mean, yeah, it's nice to have good cards and stuff, but it's really about just connecting with people like we're doing here, you know, and I've had to clean up my YouTube feed here recently. I just yesterday I was like scrubbing it because like a lot of my friends and stuff, I'm not even getting their videos in my feed or anything. And I'm getting blasted with trimming videos and all this crap. And I'm trying to just get that stuff out of here. I want to get back to the core of this thing. So, but yeah, I think that's great advice. All right. So let's go number 3.
Number 3. I'm going to break the rules again because these two cards go together. So I made a recent video with John Mangini. So recently I got my first Bazooka Clemente, 1960s. So this card is on PSA. It's pop 54. So it's very low pop. You could also buy the panels. The panels are pop 13 on PSA. So it kind of tells you they're pretty hard to find. So I got this 1960s Bazooka. It was in a panel actually with Yogi Berra and Boyer. And Mangini showed me up on the Club 21 Live. All right. So for my my anniversary with my wife, we had a 12-year anniversary. She asked what card I wanted, and she bought this card for me for our anniversary. I was about to make a video, and Mangini made a Bazooka video to show me up before I could come out with it. So it's a 1971 Bazooka SGC3. It's an unnumbered version. So the numbered version is actually the proof version. They actually didn't release the number version, so they go for more money. The unnumbered version is what came out. It was also in a panel with 3 other players. Nobody's a notable player on the panel with him. And PSA pop on this is about 69. And the panel pop on this is about 19. So these Bazooka cards, for good reason, are pricey now because there's just not a lot out there. So that's number 3 is my Bazooka, my 2 Bazooka Clementes, and I hope to have all Bazooka Clementes one day in my set. So
What was that? What was that first slab? The green one. What is that?
yeah, it's SPA. I do want to cross this to SGC. All my cards are in SGC. They're pretty reputable.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that slab before.
Yeah. I got a really good price on it because it was in that slab. So I'm very appreciative that it was in that slab and not an SGC slab.
Yeah. That's a good purchase rate. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, those bazookas are so cool.
I love the, now that I'm done with the Topps run, I love the food grade cards. So the food cards so much. Like I got the Kellogg's cards, I got the postcards. I just think the food stuff just has such a good history behind it. Like it's so cool to talk to somebody who doesn't know much about vintage and show them like, hey, this was in a box of cereal, like the history of it. Like a base card was in a wax pack. I mean, there's not really there's not really much you can talk about,
I think it's kind of an evolution, real. Like if you look at some of the channels that have been around a long time collectors, I don't think it's by coincidence that a lot of them are now into the food issues, and because they've kind of evolved maybe past the base cards, and they still love them, but now the chase is these harder to find food issues which have a cool story behind them. So yeah, I feel myself too. I have I won't say what it is, but I got a Mickey Mantle card coming in hopefully this week that's
nice.
Along those lines. So I'm looking forward to getting that one because like you said, it's just those you don't even really care too much about the condition because it's like you want them almost to have like the Cracker Jack. You want to have the Cracker Jack stains on them, the caramel stains, because it tells a story about the card. So I just love that because it doesn't, whether it comes back a 2 or a 1 or a 6, it doesn't really matter,
No, it's just owning the card. It's just really cool. I did bring I know you don't really love the Clemente rookie card. I did bring the second year card if you wanted me to. bring
Man,
it up for you.
I'll never turn down an opportunity to look at a 56 Clemente, man. See it.
All right, here it is.
Oh yeah.
Um,
It's not that I don't. I love the rookie card. I think the 56 looks. I just like the card design and the image a little better. Him making the catch and so forth.
yeah, I do. I think you had a video. If nobody's seen it, it was about a couple months ago where was it Beckett or PSA did a debate about if this card should be changed, because kind of the yellow background is kind of different than the other cards, and it kind of makes stuff blend in a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they suggested like a red background maybe on the wall, but this is the wall that was in Forbes Field, I believe. So it is what what was there. So, but I really enjoyed that video. I thought that was really cool. You talked about that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it was from an old, if I remember, it was an old Beckett magazine that it was just an article from like 1990 or something where they were saying, oh, where they did Beckett hired an artist to do like a remake of that card or that image. And the artist was saying how like he took out the advertisements on the wall, and I was like, man, I like the advertisements. That adds to the card. Now let's get into, you sent me 3 cards on your want list. Now, all right, so it is 1957 cons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so you looking for an SGC 1 or a 2, basically?
Yep.
There we go. Here's a nice 2. All right, is this it right here?
Yeah, that's his first cons card right there.
Wow, the wiener of the world awaited.
So I could talk a little bit about it. So PSA, it's about a pop 37, just to kind of tell people how scarce it is. It's his first cons card. Like I said, I'm really into the food cards. Like I just think they have such a good history. So the early cons cards were in the packs. In the 60s, you could actually mail to cons and get the card through the mail. But all these cards, like you said, a lot of them have stains from being in the packs. I just think a young Clemente image here. I just think it's a great looking image. His signature, like this is, if you look at the signature, it's like, it's obviously one of his early signatures because he totally changed his signature in future, signing balls or cons cards after this has his signature that you see everywhere. So I think that's a really cool feature also.
And this is a kind of looks like, I don't know how the prices, I'm guessing probably are a little higher than this. This one sold here 2021 for like $2,000. So yeah, a little bit of a price card because it's so hard to find.
You can get a pretty rough shape one for like $500.
Okay.
Ungraded. So I'll be looking for something in that range. But I just think these cons cards are going to continue to rise in price too. So you better to get them soon than not. But if you want to see a super, super rare, the following year, the 58 is one of the grail cards for a lot of Clemente collectors. It's a pop of 9 on PSA. It's a 1958 cons card.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just very scarce. So I prefer the image on this card. And I feel like it's more attainable, obviously, for me to get it one day soon. So that's the card that's on my want list right now for cons.
See, that's so interesting to me because usually I would logic would think like, oh, the 57, the earlier one might be harder to find or whatever. But it's just that's interesting that the 58 for some reason is just, there's not many out there, even though it was a year after the first one came out.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
All right. So now this next one here, I have this one, thankfully, here. So I'm going to show it. This is the 1964 top stand-up, a pretty recent pickup for me. And this was, I'm not a Clemente super collector, but I want to obviously have a few Clementes in my collection. And this was one that I definitely wanted because it shows him throwing. And that's the 64 top stand-up. Let me go a little solo on this one.
Yeah.
There's a 64 top stand-up. And pretty high grade on this. So I got a PSA 7 on this one. It was a 3-card lot that I ended up purchasing, all stand-ups. I got this along with a Koufax, and I haven't shown the other one yet, so I'm not going to say who the player is. But it was a 3-card lot that I ended up. It was like an eBay offer that I made, and then the guy somehow found me on Instagram and told me, hey, I own a card shop down in Alabama, and I just had a client submit a bunch of these stand-ups, and I graded him for him. You know, these were like part of his collection for since he was a kid or whatever, and he just brought them all in raw, and we all graded them, and they came back nice grades. So this like PSA 7, really, really clean, man. I mean, just get the black blank back there, but yeah, that's why I love this card. Obviously, tell us why that's a card on your want list.
Well, it's kind of the last the last attainable Topps card I have on my list, and when I heard want list, like I first thought of cards I could possibly get this year instead of cards that I can get 10 years from now. And that's a card, that's the number one card I'm going to be looking for at the National this year. Not that I'm not going to keep looking for it right now, but you know, that's my number one card I'm going to be looking for. I'm trying to get like a 3 to a 4 grade. You know, it's a little bit more reasonable price for me, but I just think it's so cool that he's throwing. There's not any other Topps cards where he's throwing. It's only a couple cards where he's even playing defense. Most of the cards are him batting or a portrait.
Right.
So I think it's so cool. His biggest asset was his arm, and that card has him throwing, which is awesome. So,
and just the green and the yellow, I love the colors on there, man. And I mean, I honestly think the cards are actually less expensive than I think they're cheaper than they should be. I mean, in my opinion, just because there's not, if you compare them to other Topps cards, there's not population wise, there's not as many as some of these other cards from the 60s. But prices are not too bad really on some of these I don't remember exactly what I got the lot for, but it was less than you would think for the 3 nicely conditioned stand-ups. So they're still pretty affordable, I think, compared to some other cards, you know, with the same populations. And that just because a lot of these were just popped out, you know, so they're probably hard to find in the good condition.
Yeah. I there was an eBay listing for $30 where the yellow was gone.
Oh.
And I was very tempted to just get it and then hopefully, you know, upgrade eventually, but I passed on it, and I kind of you kind of have to have the whole card.
Yeah. That's going to be awesome, though. To hopefully get that at the National, that would make it really cool. Hopefully, I'll be there at the National and I can take a look at it.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man.
All right, so the number 3 is 1952 Dick Groat, 1952 Topps, right? Obviously.
Yep, his rookie card.
Dick Groat rookie card, and SGC 2. Let's see. Well, let's just put SGC. I'm not sure if I'll get a Dick.
That's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you got to spell it right. That's a big part.
I'm not paying attention to what you do.
SGC. Let's look at this one here. It's the SGC 3 that recently sold. Wow, that looks pretty nice. So here we go.
Yeah, so obviously Grote passed away recently, which was I made a video about a little bit of a tribute to him, but I've been working on his run since I've been working on my Clemente run, but I haven't focused on it as much as Clemente, just because I felt like I could at any point go back and get his cards. But it's really the last piece to finish his run for me. So it's been on my list. It's been on my list for a while. It's just finding the right one at the right price. And I think he's very underrated. I have a soft spot in my heart for him because I was a big Pitt basketball fan during the Big East in the 90s, and he was our announcer, and he was literally the Vin Scully of my childhood. So you know, I unlike other vintage players, I was never able to see. I was able to, you know, hear him all the time. So after getting into vintage and getting my dad's cards, and he had 3 Dick Groat cards that I have still, it had me do more research on how great he was. He was an 8-time All-Star. He won an MVP. He actually got second place for another MVP. He was a big part of our World Series win in '60 and St. Louis Cardinals World Series win in '64. He's just a great player. I just think 52 also. 52, I don't own any 52 cards yet. I think 52 is one of the most iconic top sets. I love how they designed it. I just think it'd be the best 52 card to get my first one. So
yeah, and like just looking at this one here, something about a 52 tops card, regardless of the player, if it's like a nice eye appeal one like this, it just hits a little different to me. Like the 52 tops, man, when they are, when they don't have real horrible centering or there's something real off about the card, like something like this, or even like Orlando, a collector's dream, showed 52 tops he got of what was it, Minoso recently.
Yep.
And oh man, the thing was just beautiful. And I'm just thinking like the 52 tops, when they're nice, they just hit differently than some of these other sets.
Yeah, they're definitely special, and it's a reason why Topps redid the set. They've done it a couple times, I believe. They've done modern players and they've redone the older players. It's just a sweet set. His rookie card for not being a Hall of Famer is fairly expensive because it's a high number card. You're looking at for like a PSA or SGC2, you're looking at like $300 and $400. So it's pretty pricey.
But to your point, and honestly, I didn't know he was that good. Like I had heard the name before, but some players just kind of slip through the cracks as far as like my knowledge of them. I'm not an encyclopedia like some of these guys on YouTube, but he's a player that I knew he was like, a good player, but just you rattling off that what he achieved in his career, I didn't really know that. So to learn about that, like, I didn't realize he was that great of a player. I mean, man, that's a great resume.
Yeah, I mean, you might know though that he got drafted in the NBA. He was the 3rd pick overall in the NBA. He went to the Detroit. They weren't the Detroit Pistons. They were the I forget the exact name, but he got drafted in the NBA. He played a full season in the NBA, and he went to the Army for 2 years. And then the Pirates made him quit basketball and just concentrate on baseball. But it's pretty rare for a player to actually play both in the NBA and in the MLB professionally. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Danny Ainge, another one I'm thinking of. He played in both, but yeah, you don't hear too many. Speaking of NBA, we were talking about this earlier before we started recording. Theo, I've always been a basketball fan, NBA fan. Theo obviously, has been an NBA fan in college too. So we're going to try to do some collaborations or lives or group videos where we talk a little more about sports. And I was particularly saying, like, I want to talk a little more basketball, a little more football, because baseball, we love it, but it's so dominant on YouTube that I want to give a little more love to some basketball and football. I know maybe they won't get the most views or whatever, but that's okay. Guys like us, we have to get it out. I got so many thoughts about NBA history and the greats and the teams I love that I need people like you, Theo, where I can talk about it with. So we gotta get something going with that.
That would be awesome. Basketball in the 90s was so important to me. And, I was a huge Chicago Bulls fan, like every other kid my age, and Michael Jordan. And I hated the Utah Jazz, but, I loved watching John Stockton play, though. You got to give him props, and Karl Malone, man. That was some fun rivalries back then. The Supersonics, like, I used to love basketball back then. It was so great.
Stockton, I love Stockton, but he was a dirty player. He'd give you a nice elbow to the ribs and everything, and the refs wouldn't see it.
Yeah,
drive players crazy.
Yeah.
I meant to ask you. I wanted to talk real quick about SGC. So you're exclusive. All your graded cards you go SGC with. Is it you just basically is it an appearance thing? You like the way they look? Is that why you chose SGC?
Yeah. So when I first got into it, PSA. I sent. So I was about ready to send my cards to PSA for my father to sell them, and PSA closed. Then I start doing research, and I figure out SGC is known for vintage, and that the resale value would be close for him. So I send them to SGC, and I get them back, and I'm looking at them, and just like you said, you get the tux in your hand, and I'll pull out a card, but you get that tux, that black border just makes that card pop, and I love their service level, how fast they are at returning. I love how they get back to people in a reasonable amount of time. I mean, I worked 10 years in retail, so to me, service does matter. I'm not gonna give somebody my money that's not gonna give me good service. So I just I love the service. I love how the tux looks. Their pricing was reasonable back during the pandemic, and PSA was charging like, I think $50 when they opened back up, which was unreasonable if you ask me. So all that stuff combined, if they, I'm literally every Clemente card is going into Tux. I think I already have about 60 tuxed up. If they ever have a registry, I might be the top Clemente guy for a couple days until until somebody starts logging their stuff on there.
Until Mangini uploads all his stuff on SGC's registry, right?
Yeah, well, I think he does whatever the best value. Like I think he's got PSA slabs and stuff, but yeah,
Right.
he's probably got some high end stuff in SGC that'll take me over. But that'll be a cool.
I hope they do a registry. Yeah, that because it adds a little more fun to it. Again, you don't they don't give you money or anything for having but it's just like I do the PSA thing, and only because that's basically where I kind of like you. I started with PSA, so I'm like, just keep going with it with certain players like Mantle and Larry Bird. But it's kind of fun to just keep track of your progress, and it helps you find cards that maybe you didn't know about in the Trek list. So I think it adds an element of fun to the collecting of it, and I hope SGC would add that. I think they will at some point. It's just a matter of getting around to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, let's last point here. I like to do if you give a mention to another channel or channels, whoever you'd want to mention, someone that you enjoy watching, and particularly if maybe it's someone I haven't been able to have on the channel yet, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I wrote down a couple names here. So I know you got brought up a couple times. Sammy from SFI Sports Cards. He's a really great channel and a really great card community guy. The Drew of Vintage Legacy. He's really great. David, Legends of the Dugout. He's actually my roomie at the National. He's got a great channel, and I got to shout out a Pittsburgh guy, Iconic Baseball, Iconic Owl. He was on my behind the card episode, and we were geeking out about the Pirates, and he's got a very great professional YouTube channel, and it's he'd be a great guest to have. So.
Yeah, he does. He does have, unlike mine, where I have zero production value. I feel like I'm watching like ESPN when I turn on his channel. all the stuff he's got.
I think you're discrediting yourself, there, Adam. You have an amazing channel. In the 8 months I've been on, I've just seen your growth and just changing how you started doing with Dylan, and that you and him are like Batman and Robin. It's a great tandem, and I think this 3 for 3 has been amazing. I just think you're doing some great things, man. I love your stuff.
Thanks. Yeah, that means a lot. So this was fun, and what I was saying earlier, I hope we can do some more stuff over on your channel or anyone's channel that wants to get some people together. I'm interested. I want to start talking more sports. Not that I don't want to talk about cards, but I want to maybe if we do something where it's like 75% sports and 25% cards. I know that might sound crazy, but it would feel good for a little bit to just kind of get the sports fan stuff out of my head and out in the universe, that I've been keeping in, and no one wants to hear it. Like we were saying earlier, people in our regular lives, I don't have as many people as I used to that, remember the 2004 Red Sox, and we can talk about that. So hopefully we can do stuff like that. But
I'm ready.
Thanks, man. This was fun. And be in touch soon, guys. Thanks for watching. Go over to Clemente Collector if you have not subscribed to his channel. He's got some awesome videos, awesome stuff. So thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.